is hell.
If it sounds like a war coming from across the border over my shoulder there in France, it must be that you're watching the Straight Dope Report. Today, Straight Dope will analyze the UCI response to AFLD allegations. Monsieur Baudry went to the French newspaper Le Monde, talked to its reporter, Stéphane Mondard, and had a series of articles written that accused the UCI of being rather negligent in its duties to monitor its own sport and make sure that the racers were clean. And we're going to show you slides that give you the evidence claimed by the AFLD. And a week ago, the UCI put out a report, and we're going to show you how that report seems to stifle the importance of the accusations made by Pierre Baudry. Pierre Baudry made his assertions to Le Monde at the same period of time that Nicolas Sarkozy was negotiating €4 billion worth of bilateral contracts in Kazakhstan. One might think that Pierre Baudry never studied consequence analysis. As you look at the following slides, note that those from the AFLD point out generalities which received major press coverage throughout the month of October. And the UCI report, which came out at the end of October, received not even half the amount of coverage. How would WADA have reacted had the UCI been the party making accusations and the AFLD being on the defense? Which is the opposite of what we're seeing with this October surprise. Dr. Strangelab. Look at that graph. The 13 corresponds to the number of tests that were performed by Pierre Baudry and the AFLD on teams that would be training in France based on information provided by the UCI in a meeting with ASO, the UCI, and the AFLD. Now, during that same period of time, as you saw, 190 tests were done by the UCI. So the question of who does extensive pre-tour testing cannot be claimed by Monsieur Baudry. It's amazing how the opposite of what Plucky Pierre claims is actually true. UCI favored Astana by testing them more than any other team. Properly, the UCI took its time, developed a clean report, very objective, and as you note from these slides, once again, they respond to every allegation with details, perhaps even beyond that which Monsieur Baudry would have liked to have exposed. And now the onus is on WADA to determine the effect of its mission on compliance. So enjoy the slides and enjoy the UCI responses. And not one lab report came back positive. It wasn't the UCI doing the lab reporting, it was AFLD and the Swiss lab. One sometimes gets the impression that Pierre Baudry does not understand the world of sport from which he derives his special notoriety. This AFLD report, with its scrupulous reporting, fails to acknowledge that the life of a sportsman or sportswoman entails constant public immersion, especially for the victors who take the victory stand and feed the media beast which provides them with their livelihood.
War is hell.
These AFLD kamikaze attacks forced the UCI to go public with damning counterclaims. These UCI counterclaims seem to confirm an unhealthy preoccupation by Monsieur Baudry, to which Straight Dope concurs. There seems to be an agenda hiding behind the charges brought by Baudry. What that agenda is, we have no idea. It could be career-oriented, it could be financially oriented, but it doesn't seem that they can do their job. They're losing federation support. You can sponsor Straight Dope. Write an email. We bring you this analysis only days after WADA celebrated its 10th anniversary. It's an organization that began with the Copenhagen Declaration of 1999, signed on November 10th, and one of its missions is to create a fair system of anti-doping regulations.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honour and, in fact, a privilege to follow in the footsteps of President.
Since WADA's inception of the World Anti-Doping Code back in 2004, it has consciously dismissed the idea of forcing compliance by its signatory members, whether those are federations or government agencies. And this is grievous error on its part, because the athletes need to feel that the system within they agree to be bound is working to protect the rights of every participant, whether they be athlete or agency. And WADA alone has the power to make an agency such as the AFLD retract its statement and rectify its own errors, as the UCI has documented now publicly.
New code that provides an opportunity to progress, perhaps even to reinvigorate this fight.
After looking at the evidence that you've seen on the screen, the UCI appears to be rather objective, rather clear, and certainly able to control its writers to a much greater degree than is presented by the articles that appeared in Le Monde newspaper. Their coverage of the UCI report has clearly not been as strong or as consistent or as evident once they made their accusations public. Now, this brings up a policy issue that we want to talk about. At the World Anti-Doping Agency, under its WADA code, there certainly are articles that control how federal or government agencies should be working with the international federations, such as Article 20.5.2. The key word in the article is cooperation. And UCI makes a very good point that it shouldn't have to work under conditions like this, where a contractual partner runs to the press and complains about the way the work happened, especially when apparently that the actual team of UCI and AFLD staff were cordial, collegial, worked together in rather good harmony, in stressful conditions, in very mediatized conditions, with mountain roads and helicopter traffic, and tried to do the best job they can, and have that information go back and 2 months later have it filtered out in the press seems to be a gross error of judgment at the minimum. We've given you a lot of evidence in a short period of time, folks, and we're not trying to make this the glitziest show in the world, but we would like you to believe that our motivation is 100% pure, as should be everybody in the World Anti-Doping Agency system and families. The labs have to be clean. The regulatory agencies that control the labs have to be clean.
The UCI presents the deeper question: what motivates Pierre Baudry and his AFLD to attack the UCI? People, the lab results were clean.
You've been watching the Straight Dope Report. This is Drew Schaefer from WADA Watch. 100% pure.
Damn.